The arrogance of the first strike. The sky over the colony world of HFY burned red. The alien fleet arrived without warning, their cruisers blotting out the sun, their weapons already primed for slaughter. The Korth Dominion, a species of cold-blooded strategists, believed humanity had risen too fast, spread too far, dared too much. They called us an upstart mammal breed and mocked our fledgling colonies as eggs laid on borrowed soil. With calculated cruelty, they struck. Orbital bombardments leveled cities in minutes. Civilians scrambled for underground shelters, only to be incinerated as entire continents burned. Children screamed beneath falling skis. The Korth commanders broadcast their laughter galaxy-wide. Their message was simple. This is the fate of humans, weak, helpless, unworthy of the stars. They executed captured envoys live, parading their bodies before alien news feeds. They destroyed hospital ships fleeing orbit, calling it a necessary purge of pests. The galaxy watched in silence. Few mourned, many agreed humanity had reached too far too soon. The mockery of the council halls. Days later, the Korth High Command convened within the grand spire of Astara, surrounded by allies and rivals alike. There, before gathered emissaries of 100 species, they replayed the destruction. Cities turned to ash, screams cut short, a mother clutching her infant vaporized by plasma fire. The audience shivered, but the Korth only laughed. Humans hide behind ships of iron and pride, one Korth general boasted, yet their vessels are fragile glass before our cannons. Their so-called dreadnoughts clumsy, outdated, pathetic. If one appeared before us, we would gut it like prey. And then they mocked the legend. The whispers of a ship humanity had supposedly built in secret, a vessel of impossible scale, a ghost in the dark. The Oblivion's wrath. Alien delegates chuckled, calling it a myth, a desperate bluff. No ship can hold more than 3 dimensions of armament, they sneered. Talk of human dimensional weapons is the babbling of primitives. The Korth mocked us before the galaxy, convinced Earth was too civilized to retaliate, too broken by grief to rise. The silence before the storm. But humanity did not answer with words. For weeks Earth remained silent. No broadcasts, no threats, no pleas. Colonies went dark. Trade ships vanished from the lanes. Human embassies sealed their doors. That silence spread like a shadow across the stars. Alien traders whispered uneasily, "The humans are preparing." Smugglers swore entire sectors were closing, patrolled by unseen fleets. Explorers reported stars themselves disappearing from charts. The galaxy laughed nervously. Paranoia, they said, humans are licking their wounds. But when the silence broke, it broke like a world splitting open. The awakening of Earth's wrath. It began with a signal. Every comms relay in known space pulsed once, black static, colder than death itself. Then a voice spoke, translated into every language, heavy with iron calm. You spilled innocent blood. You mocked our dead. You wished to see humanity's ship. Now you will. And across the void, the stars themselves seemed to shudder. The Oblivion's wrath emerged from folded space, above the ruined colony of HFY. It was not a ship. It was an eclipse made solid. A fortress longer than cities, wrapped in shifting geometry, edges flickering in and out of reality. Where its hull met the eye, angles contradicted angles, shadows twisted into themselves, and dimensions unfolded like origami. Alien observers panicked. Scanners failed, coordinates bent into nonsense, engines died simply by being too close. The wrath opened its ports. From its flanks drifted human fleets, dreadnoughts, carriers, destroyers, thousands of ships, their hulls etched with glowing runes of mathematics, weapons humming with frequencies no alien had heard before. And behind them the silence carried a promise: vengeance. Weapons from 12 dimensions. The Korth laughed no longer. They fired first, unleashing storms of plasma, antimatter, and singularity rounds. Whole sectors blazed with detonations. But the wrath did not burn. Its shields unfolded like blooming flowers of impossible geometry, redirecting attacks into spirals of light. Weapons meant to split moons simply vanished, sucked into dimensions the aliens could not name. Then humanity answered. One by one, the Wrath's weapons awoke. First dimension, linear cannons that pierced fleets in single strokes, as though drawing a line through paper. Entire formations shredded in silence. Second dimension, flat planes of energy that sliced space itself, severing ships into fragments that drifted like torn parchment. Third dimension, explosions that bloomed outward, collapsing inward, erasing matter in perfect spheres. Fourth dimension, shadows of ships that did not exist suddenly struck, tearing apart reality with phantom fleets. Fifth dimension, weapons of time, freezing armadas mid-fire, then letting them crumble into dust centuries old. Sixth dimension, reflections that turned enemy fire back 1,000-fold, burning the attackers with their own arrogance. Seventh dimension, storms of light that unraveled matter into equations, equations into silence. Eighth dimension, weapons that warped probability itself, missiles that always struck, beams that never missed. Ninth dimension, fields that erased memories, leaving crews adrift, forgetting who they were, what they fought for. 10th dimension, gravitational maelstroms that devoured fleets, collapsing them into singular points of infinite density. 11th dimension, echoes of dead soldiers summoned back as armies of light, their fury immortal. 12th dimension, a silence so absolute it became a weapon, erasing not just ships, but the possibility they had ever existed. The galaxy had never seen such war. Suns dimmed beneath the crossfire, moons cracked and fell. Korth fleets that once blotted out the stars were annihilated in minutes. Retribution without mercy. Human soldiers boarded surviving ships, their armor black as night, their visors glowing with cold fire. They moved like inevitability itself, cutting down alien warriors with precision, no wasted motion, no hesitation. Captured Korth commanders were not paraded. They were not mocked. They were shown the ruins of HFY, forced to walk among the ashes of children. And then they were executed in silence. Planetary strongholds surrendered by the thousands, but humanity offered no treaties, no mercy. Colonies that cheered the Korth's arrogance were blockaded. Alien lords who had laughed at Earth's weakness watched their fleets dissolve into nothing. One by one, stars that once mocked humanity fell silent. The aftermath, a galaxy that whispers. When the war ended, the wrath did not return to Earth. It vanished into the void, leaving only dread behind. Some say it still drifts, waiting for the next insult, the next massacre. Others claim it watches over colonies in silence, unseen until needed. The galaxy trembled. Trade routes shifted away from human space. Councils redrafted laws forbidding even a whisper of provocation against Earth. Parents hushed their children with warnings. Do not anger the humans. They will hear. And the survivors, those who had mocked, those who had laughed, spoke in whispers of the lesson they had learned too late. Humanity's patience is vast, but their vengeance is infinite. The stars themselves seemed quieter in the aftermath, as though the universe, too, feared what humanity had become. Closing note for narration. The final image should linger. A burned world drifting silent, a child's toy fused into ash, and above it all, the shadow of the Oblivion's wrath, vanishing back into 12 dimensions of darkness. Whispers echo across the galaxy, the words never spoken aloud, but carried in every trembling heart. Never provoke Earth again.